right. Good morning, everybody. It is 8:30, so I'm going to call the May 2nd, 2024 meeting of the Lower Downtown Design Review Commission to order. We'll go ahead and get started. Before we jump in, I will, up on the screen, anybody who's joining us virtually, there are audio tips. For those of you who are joining us on Zoom, if you're having trouble hearing, recommend adding a background noise suppression. You can test your speaker and microphone. If you are a public commenter, I think our presenter, our applicant is here in person. So if you are on the phone as a public commenter, when it's your turn to speak, mute and unmute by clicking the microphone icon at the bottom of the screen. You could expand that menu next to the microphone for additional options to make sure that you have the right speaker and microphone device. And if you're still having audio challenges, please switch to your phone for audio. So kicking off and starting out today, we will start with some introductions of the commission. Nick?
Okay, Nick Allen, Revesco Properties.
Craig Lawrence, owner operator.
Andy Duncan, Key Preservation Architect.
Fred Glick, property owner.
Heather Vasquez Johnson, chair and practicing architect.
Amy Sanborn, Preservation Architect.
Jim Gravener, resident.
And I'm Brittany Bryant, Denver Landmark Preservation staff.
As we get started, I just want to remind the commission to please speak loudly. We got a little bit of feedback after last month's session that applicants in particular in the audience couldn't hear very well. So as particularly during deliberation, I just like to ask everybody to speak up and make sure that we're loud enough that we're being caught on recording and for anybody here in the room. So getting started, we have a meeting record from April 4th, 2024 for approval. Am I forgetting something? Okay. The meeting record from April 4th, 2024 to approve. Does any commissioners have any edits or changes to that record? Seeing a lot of heads shaking no, so we can accept it as written. We have no items on the consent agenda today, so we will jump right into design review. The process for design review is up on the board. I will announce our item today. If there are any conflicts of interest from the commissioners, they will note those and leave the room. Staff will make their introduction to the application and present their recommendation, and at that time, commissioners can ask questions of staff. After that, the applicant will have a presentation. I believe they have 15 minutes today because this is an infill project. After that 15 minutes, commissioners can ask any questions of the applicant. We will open it up to public comment. So again, if you are making public comment and you're joining us on Zoom, please click the hand raise button when it's time for public comment. We'll follow up with any staff clarifications. And at that time, we will open commission deliberation and make a motion and vote. So moving on, we will start with our one project today, which is a continuation of 2024-CUA-174 1709 Blake Street, the Red House Hotel. Crystal?
Thanks, Heather. So this application is for a phase 2 infill proposal for a new hotel located at 1709 Blake Street, which was continued from the April meeting. The site you can see here is currently a vacant lot. In these photos at the top left, the first two at the top left. The proposal will also utilize an existing contemporary structure, the Red House, at 1702 Wazee Street for additional uses for the hotel, such as restaurant, bar, and meeting spaces for that new hotel development. I have left 1702 Wazee Street out of this presentation as there are no visible exterior changes to the structure proposed. Only an internal glass canopy is proposed to be added, covering an interior courtyard of the structure, and it will not be visible from the public right away. And at the top right here photo, you can see 1702 Wazee Street, the Red House behind Jack's Fish House. The proposed new structure, the Red House Hotel, will be located at the corner of 17th and Blake Street. The proposal is for a 115-room, 7-story hotel. Revisions to the phase 1 approval of the design included the addition of a rooftop structure and amenity for the hotel and changes to the porte cochere adjacent to the alley along 17. So here's the site plan for the new proposal. The new hotel will be located, like I said, at 17th and Blake. And you can see here the added rooftop amenity on the right side, and that it does meet the 15-foot setback from each facade, including the house. And then here you can see some proposed designs for the floor plans, and at the top, the roof plan on the right. And that terraced area, and you can see the porte cochere on the first floor plan on the left, and that the vestibule dimension has been added, meeting the 5 feet requirement that's in the design guidelines. So here you can see the proposed materials for the 17th Street elevation. The new structure is traditional brick material that will be left natural and will not be painted, as well as a metal and glass curtain wall system at the primary facade. All materials are high quality and durable, meeting policy 6.2 and its recommendations. The vestibule main entrance on 17th Street are slightly recessed from the storefront face, approximately 3 feet 7 inches per the plans, meeting design guideline 5.1.1. And then inset here at the left is the design from the April 4th meeting without the added louvers at the porte cochere. So at the right, you can see the design has added the louvers at the top area near the porte cochere, and shows an extended canopy along that area as well. So here's a closer detail showing that revised porte cochere area located at the 17th Street elevation from the April 4th meeting. This bay will be left open to the street to see into the porte cochere. It has a stone bench and seating area adjacent to the porte cochere, and has that canopy extend from the primary entrance all the way over to the alley. The porte cochere is framed with continued mullion lines mimicking the storefront elevations while allowing visibility into the area. And then here again, you can see the new structures using that traditional brick material, a metal and glass curtain wall system on the Blake Street elevation. Again, all materials are high quality and durable, meeting policy 6.2. Balconies are not a dominant feature of the street front facades and will only be located at the top 2 floors above 55 feet and will have transparent railings. Balcony lengths and widths have been added and dimensioned on the floor plan since the April 4th meeting. The corner balconies do appear to be longer than 10 feet in length. However, they are located on the 7th floor and set back more than 11 feet from the front facade, so will not be highly visible from public vantage points and may be appropriate in this case. The facade design will include vertical elements and other architectural features that have been inspired by the district context. For example, windows have vertical articulation through the use of center mullions and window alignments on the facade. The windows and courses are clearly delineated in a modern way that relates to the district context, meaning policy 5.3 for facade compositions. The new structure uses expressive architectural elements such as a decorative soldier course at the top of the windows on the brick portions of the structure. A simple combination of varied materials also helps to define architectural elements. Like at the top 2 floors, they'll be clad in aluminum and glass, punctuated by these weathered steel portals, which you can see here, with surrounds, and then a knife edge metal composite roof line over the balconies, meeting policy 6.1. So here's the alley elevation. The main material is a black metal panel system with brick wrapping from the 17th Street elevation to the alley. The black metal panel system does blend in and is compatible with the materials of the primary facades. And then here you can see that new hotel rooftop amenity that was added in phase 2. It is 12 feet tall and less than 15 feet tall as required by the design guidelines. And the rooftop structure will be compatible with the rest of the building. So here's the first rendering of the proposal, starting with the alley elevation. You can see the louvers that have been added at the right corner under the brick wrap portion of the alley elevation. And then here's a rendering showing the structure looking at the corner of 17th and Blake Street. And then finally, here are two renderings focusing on the 17th Street elevation that was revised from the April 4th meeting with that porte cochere and the added louvers that you can see on the right side here. The proposed infill structure reads as 5 stories, has a strong street presence, and anchors the corner of 17th and Blake Street using brick and storefront cladding materials commonly found in the district and vertical articulation techniques that match the character of the district. The applicant has addressed the prior conditions, so staff is recommending approval.
Great, thank you, Crystal. Do any commissioners have questions or clarifications for staff? Okay, I'm not seeing any. Thank you, Crystal. Thanks. I'd like to invite the applicant up to make the presentation. I'll just remind you to please start with name and address for the record.
Great. Good morning, David Morris, with Beck Group. Address is 1001 17th Street in Denver. Yeah, it's first of all, good to be back in front of you all. We were joking earlier this morning that the first time we met with you was almost a year ago, a little over a year ago, and then now we've been back in front of you within 30 days. So appreciate you guys moving us forward and letting us get back. Some timeline as we're anxious to get this project continue rolling down the road, so to speak. So a couple things that we really wanted to focus on today, which really came out of our meeting last time we were with you. There were a couple things that I know the commission was not comfortable with. First of all, we had not gotten an opportunity to be in front of the Lodo RNO group. Andy, you had strongly suggested, maybe not strongly, but suggest that we get together with them and at least give them the opportunity to have dialogue with us about the project. If you all remember, Dick Farley was on the call last time and had some concerns that we were able to address with them. So we met with them on the 24th of this month and had good dialogue with them. There were a couple of things that they brought up of concern that we can talk about this morning. The other area of concern really from the last meeting with you all focused at the porte cochere. It was the first time that you had seen some of the detail. We mentioned that because of the need to control the cold floor, we're going to probably have to drop the ceiling in the porte cochere down slightly, which would then force us to have a louvered expression along that facade. So we've now updated that. John was a bit concerned about the proportion of the lower portion of the masonry as it met that canopy. Felt that it was maybe a little light in his opinion. Wanted to see maybe a little bit more substance there, so we've made those adjustments. So what we have done there, and you'll see that in both these, I think these are great images to look at. We dropped the brick base at that second level down. It was roughly about 1 foot 4 inches. So we added additional coursing there. The other thing that we did there, which was a suggestion by the commission, is we lowered the canopy down slightly. So now the top of the canopy times out with the lowest course of the brick masonry, where before we were overlapping it. So you could perceive that brick band at the lowest portion above the porte cochere was a little thin. So we bumped that up and now it aligns with the coursing that is at the corner of 17th and Blake. So I think we're much more comfortable with that, and hopefully you are as well. We have introduced the louvers. Again, we want to keep that a louver type system that may be maybe the facing of what is that lowered floor level at level 2, which would allow us to get a plinth in there, or a plenum, to condition that space as we mentioned, but also may need that for ventilation out of that space. So we're keeping that with a louver type expression, which will be of high quality, treated very much in the same color as well as finish as our storefront and curtain wall system that you see in the middle portion of this elevation. Going back to the RNO, just to speak to that briefly. The meeting went very well. I would say that the the neighborhood organization was supportive of the design. There are concerns that they expressed, just to be open with you all. They were a little concerned with the scale and width of the brick portion on the northern portion of the elevation along Blake Street. We addressed that by saying that was going to be up against 1725 Blake, so the continuation of that masonry we felt like would hold that corner very solidly, that even though that was a thinner portion of our building, it would hold together with the adjacent property at 1725. Concern that they also brought up was the treatment of the alley space and its connection to the Red House proper. Jim, you brought up that concern as well in our last meeting. I think we had said that we were not changing any of the facade along the alley at the Red House portion of that structure, but that we were going to be sure that we paid careful attention to the at-grade connectivity from the porte cochere over to the Red House. So that's still part of our plans, and it's what we're showing in the package is consistent with what the vision is for the project. The final concern that they expressed was transition from the 17th Street facade to the alley. They liked how we turned the corner with the masonry, and they felt like the transition was a little abrupt going to the more metal type facade, which I think this commission was certainly appreciative of, and we're going to keep that the way it is. They understood why we were doing that from a bit of a cost savings exercise, as well as treating the alley facade different than the primary facades, which was the intent of the design team and the ownership group. So that really highlighted that. I think when we left the meeting, we felt comfortable, and I believe that the neighborhood organization also felt comfortable with the overall project. Can't speak for them, but that was our understanding as we left the meeting. So with that, certainly happy to answer any questions that the commission has, but feel like with all due respect, we were fairly close last time we met with you all, and think we've addressed, hopefully to your satisfaction, the concerns that you had.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant?
I have a small question. Your landscape plan shows some sizable tree beds and it looks like shrubbery. Is that all just going to be a grade? Are you planning to do any walls, any fencing around that, or?
Right now, the plan is to have those at grade. And so if you look, we have a section in there that shows the approach to that to better ensure that those trees are going to live and be healthy. Certainly we're following the Denver standards for that. But as far as any curb at this time, we're not doing that. I think our concern was trip hazard. It's a highly traveled area of the city, and that was what our landscape design firm had recommended.
Any other questions? Going once? Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, and I don't believe we have any public comment. Okay. And so, yeah, just to confirm, there's nobody joining virtually for public comment this morning.
There's not, it's just us.
All right, so I will open it up for deliberation. What does everybody think?
I think it's great, and I obviously wasn't here at the last meeting, so missed that conversation, but can see the changes that have been made. I think a lot of that makes sense. I'm going to give just kind of a friendly comment on the tree pits, and that is that a lot of owners in the district, ourselves included, have found that it is a struggle to keep shrubs and such that surround trees alive without any fence there. Dogs take an enormous toll. We've planted all kinds of stuff. It has all died pretty quickly. There are conversations about fences, and some buildings have done low fences similar to what they do in New York City. Those do, my understanding is, and staff can correct me if I'm wrong, require coming back to this body for approval. So that's a purely friendly comment for you to consider, but otherwise I feel very good about what's presented. Thank you.
Jim?
I feel like the lone wolf here. I've been to the Red House. I've seen what their Christmas show is. And I have a great deal of problems putting another hotel in the parking lot, not with that usage of the parking lot. I think it's a great use. And I think I've recommended that from time to time. But I do feel that this actually comes out ignoring the Red House and ignoring the fact that it was the last and is the last privately owned piece of property in the district, private residence in the district. I think for that reason, it needs more attention. And it's my understanding that this would become basically the kitchen facility for the restaurant. And if that's not the case, I need to know it. But if it is the case, it certainly is a tremendous downgrading of the Red House in terms of its value to the community. Just as one side, a former mayor, former senator and governor of the state lived next door to the Red House. Not that that's anything that should concern us at this moment, but that's just the case. And that the buildings surrounding the house need to be looked at, need to be preserved, or at least acknowledged. That includes the building on the corner, which is presently a 2-story and was one of the first in the area. Likewise, I realize that's getting beyond the scope of what we're here to talk about, but it certainly is something which needs the context of the area surrounding the Red House needs to be thought through. I certainly have no objection to the parking lot usage as a hotel. Seems to me that is one of the uses which I think I mentioned about a year ago when I first got on the commission. This was something which I think to the traffic concerns along Blake and along the other streets need to be looked at, and I know they will be as part of the work you're doing. For this and for a lot of other reasons, including the context of the Red House, I will not be able to support this particular usage. Although I think the hotel is a fine idea. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Any other comments, Andy?
Although I agree with your comments, just to kind of hone things back into what our purview is, we had asked the applicant to examine certain things of the previous design, which they have met. And even though the Red House is an important piece of architecture, we don't have the purview to look at it. And so based on our purview and the scope of the project, I would be in favor of supporting.
I think it is within our purview to look at any proposed external changes to it
Correct.
being
That's
within
correct.
within the district,
There are
none.
but there are none.
There are none.
I don't think it's within our purview to examine the use of that structure and
Correct.
interior things.
Correct.
So I just want to,
Yeah, yeah.
clarify. I mean, I'm in
I agree.
agreement with you. I just want to make clear. I think that there are no changes proposed to the exterior. So the use of it is really not within, I think, what we can justifiably use to refuse it. I think that goes outside of our purview, I think.
I just say thanks. I think that I appreciate the efforts to re-examine those pieces we discussed at our last session. I think it's been really successful. I think that just a little bit more additional mass at the base of that volume is really helpful, but a little bit more brick has made that feel proportionally stronger. And I think the louver too, just a little bit more depth at the base is helping with that, just rounding out the volume. So yeah, I appreciate the changes. I agree on the comments around support.
Thank you. Any other deliberation, discussion? Someone care to make a motion? Andy?
I move to approve application number 2024-COA-174 for the infill phase 2 design details submitted at 1702 and 1709 Blake Street as per to design policy standards and guidelines 3.1, 4.1, 3.3, principles 5.5, 5.1, 5.11, 5.12, policy 5.2, 5.21, 5.22, policy 5.3, 5.31, 5.34, 6.1, 6.21, 6.22, 6.31, 6.32, 7.1, 7.3, presented testimony, submitted documentation and information provided in the staff report.
Thank you, Andy. That was a mouthful. Do we have a second?
I'll say.
Fred? All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Jim, any abstentions? None? Okay, congratulations. Project has passed. And that is all we have for design review today. Do we have any business items or discussion items this morning?
Well, as everyone is here, I asked Adam if we could do elections and he's looking up if we can. I sent him on a task, surprisingly. If not, I'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting. So he's just looking over Robert's rules of orders.
Yeah, it looks like you're gonna add something by a 2/3 vote of the body.
Would you like to add yearly chair and vice chair elections to the
Yes.
agenda?
I will ask the commission, all those in favor of adding yearly chair and vice chair elections to the agenda, please raise your hand. Easiest thing. All right, it is unanimous. We can add it to the agenda.
So Heather is obviously our current chair. Our vice chair is Andy. Heather's term is up next year. We do hold elections yearly. But it is for you as the commission to determine who you would like as your chair and vice chair. And if anyone wants to volunteer, or you could re-elect Heather and Andy also, so,
And my term is up and termed out next year.
yes.
So.
And
I would nominate Heather for chair.
I would nominate
Andy for vice chair.
Only need seconds.
I'd second
Oh,
both of those.
Second.
Okay,
Feels like just yesterday.
I know. Okay, well,
okay. Do
thank
we
you
need
so
to
much.
do a vote?
Yes.
Okay, all of those in favor of maintaining Heather as chair, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, any objections? I guess I'll abstain because that's me. And then all of those in favor of maintaining Andy as vice chair, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'll abstain since it's me.
Okay, all right, motion passes.
No.
You can
Just to-
vote
just
for
myself.
yourself. Do we have anything else to business or discussion items
And
today?
that is it for this meeting.
All right, that
I
is
did do
it.
that on Board of
I will
Appeals, but
call
wasn't here
the
for
meeting
2
adjourned
months.
at 8:59 a.m.
Yay.
Great work, team.
Thank you.
You did it.